New tonight, here's a tough question for you. Is the government spraying dangerous chemicals over us from planes?
So the question being asked is the government spraying toxic chemicals into the skies all over the world?
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Well, they say the government is dumping chemicals on us to control or manipulate the weather.
Military aircraft flying through the region is dropping chaff. And obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is.
People say the government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals.
Could be the biggest threat that we've ever experienced. Longtime Valley resident Melanie St. James says she moved to the desert from LA for the clean air. But in the fall of 2009, she noticed the desert sky looked different. The white, heavy white, long streaks started appearing in the air. I had a dry, burning respiratory system, lungs, bronchioles. Actually, my entire respiratory system's almost swelled shut.
And St. James believes that's due to chemtrails.
When you and I grew up, these contrails naturally dissipated in a few seconds or perhaps a minute max. But these things expand, they grow bigger.
So when I look up there and I think of contrails, you're telling me are chemtrails?
Yes, but a contrail would be dissipated by now.
This is of interest not just in this country, but European countries and frankly all over the world.
Geoengineering is a deliberate changing of our Earth's climate to fight global warming. And this is what many claim to be the source, chemtrails. It's a combination of aluminum, barium, and strontium. Some say the government is spraying in our skies. In the end, it forms a sort of cloud layer that reflects the sun's rays away from the Earth and thus cools our planet.
Well, we've seen these numbers of aluminum, barium, and strontium escalate several thousand percentage points just in the past 10 years. Those numbers were not there before the trails were there. Nobody has been able to find a source of the contamination of aluminum, barium, and strontium.
To test their theory, Michael J. Murphy and his team headed to an organic farm on Maui.
A public official on Maui, Hawaii, who got deeply concerned about this, acquired over 30 different rain tests which reveal aluminum, barium, and strontium toxicity.
Retired USDA biologist Francis Mangels says chemtrails, also known as geoengineering, are detrimental to our planet's future.
It's probably one of the biggest threats that I can see.
Mangels says soil tests have shown the actual pH of the Earth's soil has changed, making it harder for farmers to grow food. Also, Alzheimer's, which has been linked to aluminum, has skyrocketed. Here in Riverside County, Alzheimer's is up 260%.
You can't dismiss an increase like that just saying it's better reporting.
But geoengineer Ken Caldera says all this evidence towards some sort of theory is just a lot of hot air.
The chemtrails folks are looking at ordinary jet contrails and imagining some kind of nefarious government conspiracy.
I contacted Mary Bono Mack, as well as Senators Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, all of whom either did not respond or refused to comment. I also spoke with the EPA and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. Both said they knew nothing of attempts to modify the weather. However, there are federal documents that specifically mention weather modification. While there's disagreement over whether geoengineering is being used to control our weather right now, though, both sides agree it could happen in the future.
In the United States, there is no research program on geoengineering yet, although people like myself are trying to create a research program.
Geoengineers say directly modifying our weather has a much more immediate effect than switching the world to alternate energies.
A process that will take a minimum of 50 years to perhaps 300 years to convert everyone to renewable energy. Therefore, anything that might result in a quick fix to the problem would be seriously considered.
It's hugely risky. It will likely negatively impact some people, but we might find ourselves in a situation where those risks seem worth taking.
I'm Christina Pascucci for KMIR 6 News.
And if you're interested in learning more about these alleged chemtrails and geoengineering, Nature's Food and Cafe in Palm Springs is selling the documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying? You can also find links for both sides of the geoengineering issue on our website, KMIR6.com. Sixth graders from...
Some people believe there's a sinister top-secret mission that's making us sick. CBS Atlanta's Jeff Cherico asked the tough question, is this true or just an overblown conspiracy theory?
You've seen them in the sky, those white lines left by planes. Conspiracy theorists call some of them chemtrails. They think they're full of toxins, damaging the environment and our health.
It definitely angers me. Some days there's only 4, or some days there's 8, and some days the whole sky is just enveloped in just milky white.
From the balcony of her Buckhead condo, Ali Valente gets a clear view of what she believes is a secret government plot that's poisoning us.
You look down, though, and you look at the people just moving along and going about their business, and do you feel like...
Like, how can you not look up and see what's going on?
When Ali began noticing a bunch of white lines in the sky blocking the sun, she searched for answers online, and that's where she found information about a conspiracy called chemtrails.
These are literally crimes against humanity. Nature and humanity.
Over Skype, I spoke with chemtrail researcher Michael Murphy at his home in California. He produced a documentary about the so-called chemtrail cover-up. He believes there are chemicals in these trails, including aluminum, that are making us sick.
We've seen aluminum-related illness go through the roof.
Murphy says tests show high levels of these chemicals in our rain and soil.
So we're seeing a major increase in these chemicals, but how do we know they are coming from planes?
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention. Well, tonight, KSLA News 12 investigation reporter Jeff Farrell shows us the results of testing we had done about what's in our skies.
It seemed like some mornings it was just crisscrossing the whole sky. It was just like a giant checkerboard.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground.
This is water and stuff that I collected in bowls. I had it set out in my backyard on my dad's pickup truck.
KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA.
Armed with these lab results about the high levels of barium found in our sample, we decided to contact the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. They told us that yes, these levels are very unusual, but at the same time they added the caveat that proving the source is a whole nother matter.
Barium is a hallmark of other chemtrail testing, which even attracted attention from a Los Angeles TV station. There's already no shortage of unclassified weather modification programs by the government. But those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969. Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years.
So the question being asked is the government spraying toxic chemicals into the skies all over the world to stop global warming?
It's called geoengineering, and a growing movement of people say yes. They also say many of the illnesses you see today are a direct cause of what's happening in the sky. KMIR 6's Christina Pascucci investigates.
We looked into any other source and we couldn't find one.
So why is the government supposedly doing this? Theorists speculate the heavy metals reflect the sun's rays, cooling the earth and combating global warming. So how can you tell the difference between chemtrails and typical plain contrails?
A contrail dissipates and evaporates pretty quickly. A chemtrail lingers.
But Georgia Tech weather researcher Dr. Jim St. John says he doesn't buy the chemtrail theory. He points out that some normally occurring contrails do linger.
Contrails can take on different appearances depending upon different factors.
He believes more lines in the sky is due simply to more air traffic. And although the U.S. government says it isn't clouding the skies, one thing is crystal clear. A denial won't be enough to convince a growing number of chemtrail believers.
The U.S. government has issued a statement attempting to debunk what it calls the chemtrail hoax. We posted that on our website. Go to cbsatlanta.com, click on the Tough Questions tab. Now, we know a lot of you have pictures and videos of chemtrails. We want to see them, so send them to us at pics@cbsatlanta.com. We'll post them on our website. Jeff Jericho, CBS Atlanta News.
We're also talking chemtrails on our Facebook page tonight. We want to know if you think they're real, and if so, why the government is doing it. Go to cbsatlanta.com, scroll down to Facebook logo there on the left-hand side, and tell us what you think.
But could secret testing be underway yet again?
I'd rather it be something inert and benign, something that's, not causing any damage, but I'd like to know what it is.
KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
And, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law, with some exceptions.
Now, Jeff's report mentioned high levels of barium linked to those alleged chemtrails. We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term, chronically, is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, that's a potential.
Ryan says he's conducted research on his own about secret government testing on the public, but he's still a bit skeptical about the alleged chemtrails, at least at the moment, because the Poison Control Center has seen no calls about exposure to barium.